Welcome to the Feminine Forecast for the week of April 24th to the 30th. So just getting right on into the theme of the week, we have the Fool. And this is that energy of Pluto retrograde, which is beginning this week, though we have been feeling the impact of the shadow period for quite some time. So this Pluto retrograde, really the theme is transformation. It is the ending and the beginning, and that is what the Fool symbolizes in tarot. It is a simultaneous ending and a beginning. The start of a new leg of the journey, in a different way than when we see the Death card or the Tower. Okay, this is truly a fresh start. It's leaving the past behind you, going into the great unknown, almost having no clue what's about to happen or what you're stepping into, but really taking that big leap of faith or that trust fall. But that's the theme for this week, and it is being supported, as always, by the dance of the planets of that first retrograde planet, which is Pluto, but we have most of them, all except Venus, going retrograde over the next couple of months. So what's the path to this new chapter, this unknown energy? We're starting out with the Creatrix and how powerful that we have 0, the Fool, and then 1, the Creatrix. The Creatrix is really letting you know that you have everything you need in order to bring to life that creation, that desire within you. It's less about learning more and more about working with what you know. You have all the tools, you have the resources. There's nothing outside of you that you really need to look towards at this time. Okay, so we're starting off the week really getting centered in the vision. So it might be time to freshen up your vision board. It might be time for you to get clear on what your goals are, to either set new ones or recommit to old ones. But as you do that, really start to consider that the strength of this message, that you have everything you need. You no longer need to seek. You have it. It is within you. And Spirit is saying right now that you are the creative tool. You are the vessel. You are the container. You are all. Woo, I love it. Okay, so we're entering this week with that knowing. Such a powerful energy. I think I've said that 3 times, but it is that juicy. Now, the second step, we have the King of Wands, or the second energy we're working with, King of Wands. And what I really love about the King of Wands is he is a confident leader. Now, on the flip side of that confidence can sometimes be a little triggering to other people. And if this message is for you, this is not the first time that you've gotten this message from me or from other readers. If people react to you, if people are triggered by you, then that's on them. The part that you take responsibility for is how you respond to their trigger. So sometimes when we're triggered by people, we shrink and we think, oh, I'm sorry. No. Let them deal with the fact that they're triggered, and you deal with the fact that you're triggered by them being triggered by you. Own your light, stand in your power, burn unapologetically, regardless of what others think or want from you or expect of you. Be yourself, be who you are. You're not going to change lives by shrinking every time somebody doesn't like you or somebody is bothered by your message. This is a week of authenticity. This is a week of confidence. Now, this message is going to tickle a little differently for those of you who have been confident all your life and been made to feel like your confidence is actually arrogance. Because the world is very triggered by confident women. And so it likes you to think that, oh, who are you to be confident? Actually, like, you're a little bit too big for your britches, or you're walking in shoes not meant for you. And this week, Spirit's really pulling the plug on that belief and saying, stand in your confidence. It is not your ego. It is not arrogance. It is confidence, right? So maybe you even make a Post-it. Lord knows I have them all over the house, and it says, I am a confident woman and I burn unapologetically. You know, one of the things that I always say, and I'm pretty certain that I'm not the only one who said it, but if somebody's blinded by your light, let them put on sunglasses It has nothing to do with you. Okay? So our third card, or the third leg of this path this week, we have the Ace of Swords. And I love this version of the Ace of Swords because look how boldly she is walking forward. She has her sword out, ready to cut through the BS, ready to hold her truth up, not change it, not shift it so that it's more digestible for other people, but really she's ready and she's doing it. You already know the path forward. You already know your next step. The only thing that's yet to happen is taking it, is following it. And this is really kind of an echo of one of the messages that I got twice this week, which is if you're feeling stuck or stagnant or things aren't progressing, and especially for light workers who have a business or are like really putting themselves out there with mission, it is stagnant. It's blocked because you're still sitting on that bigger message. And many of us, I shared about it on my page this week, many of us are not sharing that because we're afraid of the reactions of other people. Okay, so that's going to be very present within the collective this week. Just be mindful of it, just be aware. But it is time for you to not just have the vision of where you're going, but to start confidently walking forward into it, taking those action steps, speaking your truth. And I feel like some of you might have, like, Spirit's calling them altercations, but it's not physical. But it's like, I feel like some of you are going to come up against people that really make you feel or bring up that confidence versus arrogance wound this week. And you have worked too damn hard to shrink back now. You know you're not arrogant. You know that you come from love. You know what you're about. I'm covered in chills, guys. Okay, so stand in that. Okay, and Spirit also wants you to know that for those of you who are really resonating with that, you are not alone. That confidence, arrogance thing has come up so many times in sessions I've had with women, in my own personal journey. And I think Spirit is really with us to break that pattern, to start that reprogramming this week, that we can be confident, we can know what we're talking about, and it's not arrogance. Okay. Now, a journal prompt to help, or just kind of an inquiry question to sit with and support the process this week. The how is in the now. What has your intuition been trying to tell you? So I just reviewed this deck. It's from my newest one, Unshakable Inner Peace. You can check that out. All of my decks will be linked down in the video description. But your intuition is speaking, and Spirit saying loud and clear, it's just a matter of moving forward. So I've now said something very similar in all of these cards, right? You know the way. It's time to trust it. It's time to follow it. Woo. And for those of you who are maybe still feeling like the waters of intuition versus ego feel very murky for you, you're having a hard time distinguishing between the two, just know that your soul, your higher self, your guides, it's always calm, it's always peaceful, might be a little uncomfortable, right? Like might put you out on the edge or make you feel like, oh, I'm gonna have to step out of my comfort zone, but it always holds the vibration of love. And here's the other thing, the message is always consistent. The ego ups the ante. When you start not listening to it, it's like, oh, okay, that's not working. Let me try this. Let me get to her this way. It's fearful. It's high. My ego voice is so shrill, like a banshee type thing. It's anxious. It's fearful. It's it's anxious and it's fearful. Okay, so go towards the voice that feels very peaceful, very loving. And like I said, very peaceful and loving sometimes has us inch out of our comfort zone, but typically it'll have us inch out of our comfort zone and rarely take big, giant, scary leaps, but those do happen. Okay, so that's the general forecast. I do have a pick a card. Let me just push these cards aside and get our pick a card set up. All right. So 2 cards in front of us. There's card number 1 on the left, card number 2 on the right. Drop in. What is that soul's voice, that peaceful, calm, voice, whispering. Which card? Okay, it's only a single card reading for each one, so no timestamps. Let's get into card number 1. Golden Solar Dragon helps you stand in your masculine power with wisdom. Let your DNA be reprogrammed and light codes activated. Become an inspired leader. So for those of you drawn to this card, I wouldn't be surprised if you were really resonating with what was coming through in regards to the King of Wands. And Spirit just really wants you to know that it's okay for you to be in your masculine. I know a big thing that I've talked about in my sessions with women and also within the membership is that some have naturally dominant masculine energy, and that's okay. What started to happen is there's like this feeling of like, I can't be in my masculine energy, or being in my masculine energy is wrong or bad, or, you know, I've got to learn to be in my feminine. This week, go with your dominant masculine energy. It's going to serve you really well. And for many of you, you don't really differentiate between masculine and feminine. You're at a part in the process where you're integrated and you're embodied. So just know if it feels like you are being a little bolder, you're taking a little bit more action this week, that's exactly what's being asked of you. Also, this DNA reprogramming and light codes, you're going to want to be outside a bit this week to really help anchor the codes into your being. And that's going to help them be like what's coming through is it's going to help them be gentler. So it's not going to be keeping you up at night. It's not going to be creating some, like a quickening of the heart is what I'm feeling. It'll just be more digestible. It'll be something that you can easily handle. And it'll almost happen if you can be outside, and you don't have to be outside for very long, but if you can just like really connect with nature this week, it's almost like you get the activation, but don't even know it's really happening. Okay, drawn to card number 2, we have the Pure White Dragon from Orion. Transforms your ascension knowledge into pure wisdom. Process what you know. Act with truth and honesty. Let your wings of light grow and expand. So for those of you drawn to this card, I actually think that you're going to have been really catalyzed by that Ace of Swords energy, and perhaps even the Fool energy. Like that might really, really resonate. You've just come out of learning a very tough lesson. You learned it with love. You learned it with a lot of grace. I give you so much credit because Spirit is saying you're a real champ. You got thrown a lot of curveballs. You got a lot of twists and turns. It was kind of on a roller coaster that you were on blindly, and you handled it. And now you're here. So give yourself some time to let the dust settle. This week, I see you kind of going within for answers. It's more of a letting this knowledge and this wisdom rise from within. I think you're going to be a little bit more in the rested state this week. Maybe even we could say like a little bit more in the feminine, where you're just being, you're nourishing yourself, you're nurturing your body, your physical body after a chapter that was challenging. Emotionally, physically, spiritually. So really, if you've been here for even a second, you know this to be like my key form of guidance, which is make sure you stay hydrated, because that's going to allow everything to flow through you. Okay, and you'll notice like there is a difference between being hydrated and like barely giving yourself the liquids. And hydrate with water. You might want to numb it with wine. Not the best of ideas, okay? But there's like this embodiment and integration that's happening for you this week, where you've learned a lot and you've come through a lot, and now it's time for it to be more embodied. It's time for you to be able to live it as opposed to learn it. All right. I do have some personal reading spots available this week. Check down in the video description for them. And if this reading resonated, if it's supportive of your path, please do let me know with either a comment or like. It's a beautiful way to support my channel and card readers in general here on YouTube. Okay. But I do hope this reading supports your path, and I will see you next week. I love you. Bye.